Hello everyone, I am Chase here at Rocky Mountain ATVMC, and today we're giving you a closer look at navigating the Husqvarna OEM parts finder. So whether you own a 701 Enduro, an FC450, or maybe a TE250i, the information in this video is going to help you find the OEM parts you need quickly and easily. So first I'll run through and give you the basic organization of Husqvarna's OEM diagram layout, and then we'll go through and give you some tips and tricks to help you find your parts along with some commonly asked questions. So let's get started. On each OEM page, you will find a couple helpful links, and you can also access these two features on any of the OEM schematic pages as well. The first one is live chat. Here you can chat with an OEM specialist if you are having trouble finding the parts you are looking for. The second one is our OEM Parts Finder Tips page. On this page is a list of tips and tricks that we have put together that are specific to Husqvarna that will help you locate the correct part. Now we are constantly updating this sheet, so if there's a question you have or something you see is missing, let us know. On this page, you'll find information about your machine's model identification, such as special editions and identifying your vehicle year. The first section is for model identification. Here it explains that all of their models are combined on one list, so you'll need to know if you have an enduro model or motocross. With every model, the first letter is either an F or a T. F stands for 4-stroke and T for 2-stroke. The next letter will either be an E for enduro or a C for competition or motocross, an X for cross-country or off-road, and an S for street. In 2016, Husqvarna came out with the 701 Enduro and 701 Supermoto. As of right now, those will be the only bikes that don't follow the F and T designation of the other bikes. And starting in 2017, Husqvarna has two versions of the TC85 chassis. The standard with a 14-inch rear and a 17-inch front, and the big wheel version with a 19-inch front and the 16-inch rear. So just be sure you select the right chassis schematic. Now some models are offered in street legal versions with an S on the end. They did this for the FE350 and FE501. The next section is to help you identify your machine's year. If you're not sure what year your machine is, no problem. The 10th digit in the VIN will be your model year. For example, a B in the 10th position would indicate you have a 2011 model. Just refer to this table at the bottom if you're not sure. So now let's take a look at finding some parts. So first we're going to select the year. Now the year will start with the latest models and work its way back. Next, we'll select our machine model. Now here I want to point out that starting in 2018, Husqvarna has followed KTM's factory editions and started making a special Rockstar edition of the FC450. Now even though it is still called a 2018, the chassis schematic is different, so if you have a Rockstar edition, be sure to select that specific chassis from the list. But to get us started today, we'll be looking at a 2018 TX300, so we'll find that machine on our list. You'll notice that with Husqvarna, there are separate schematics for the engine and the chassis, so you'll need to know which part you are looking for at this point. For us, we'll be looking for a countershaft seal, so we'll be selecting the TX300 engine from the list. The diagrams are listed in alphabetical order and they are found on the left side or in the drop-down menu. To start finding a part, no matter what part you are looking for, think of where the part is on the vehicle and what it connects to or is touching. For example, if you're looking for a countershaft seal, well, you know it's attached to the crankcase, but it is also touching the countershaft that the front sprocket connects to, which is part of the transmission. So looking at the engine case and transmission 2 countershaft diagrams would both be great starting places. For this TX300, the countershaft seal is found on the transmission 2/countershaft diagram, and we'll see that the seal is number 19 on that diagram. Now one thing that you'll notice here is that there are no directional arrows on the Husqvarna schematics. But for the most part, the parts are laid out in the same orientation on each schematic, with the front of the machine located in the lower left corner. So you can use that as a reference when locating parts for the left or right side of the bike. Now as you look at the diagram, there are some important things to know and some tips to help you out. Each yellow box has a number that corresponds to a part on the diagram. When you hover over that yellow box, it will give some helpful information. You'll find the name of the part, the Husqvarna part number, MSRP, hour price, and the quantity in stock. You can also add to cart straight from here by clicking the Add to Cart box. On these diagrams, if you want, you can zoom in and out using the plus or minus key or the scroll wheel on your mouse. So next, let's jump over to the chassis schematic for this bike. Let's say you are looking at the rear wheel for this bike. Now on certain diagrams like this one, you may see a box surrounding multiple item numbers or a line connecting multiple items. First, we'll look at number 1. This is the complete rear wheel for this bike, so everything inside that box would be included, already assembled when you order number 1. Now inside box number 1, you can see several items all connected to a line labeled number 2. This is the entire hub assembly and has everything included to rebuild your rear hub, so bearings, seals, and spacers. You can also order a complete spoke and nipple kit labeled number 99, or if you want, you can order those parts individually as numbers 8 and 9 if you don't need the complete kit. When looking at number 97, this is a rear wheel repair kit which includes items 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 16. All the bearings and parts to rebuild your hub completely. If we look at number 98, you get both the front and the rear sprocket and also a chain. You'll also see the line connecting the sprocket bolt and nut. Now these two parts would not be included since they are sitting outside the box. So now let's take a look at the diagram list. The numbers of the diagram correlate to the numbers listed below. On this list under quantity, you may see certain boxes have more than one for a quantity. This indicates the amount of the part needed for complete reassembly. Now looking back at the spokes and nipples, numbers 8 and 9, you see 36 for each part. If you only need 1 or maybe 2 spokes, you can click in the box and change the quantity. Looking at the stock status, you can easily see what is in stock. If an item is in stock, we have it in our warehouse and ready to be shipped. Now we do our best to stock as many parts as possible, but might not stock items that are rarely purchased. If you order a part that is not stocked, we will order that part immediately from Husqvarna and then ship it to you as soon as possible. We work hard to review each diagram to stock the parts that are commonly ordered. If we missed one, our software will recognize it based on sales and make it a stocked item. So now let's jump over to the wiring harness schematic, and again we'll be looking at the parts list. If an item says not shipping, this can mean one of two things. First, the part number is old and no longer made by Husqvarna, and second, it may be a brand new part and not yet available. So next, let's jump over to a 2017 TC85. Here we'll be looking at the engine schematic, which are the same for the regular and the big wheel versions of this bike. We're going to start by looking at the carburetor schematic. If we look down at the parts list, you'll see that in some situations, there will be an email me when available box. This means that Husqvarna does not have the part in stock and does not have an exact date of when that part will be available. So now, let's answer some commonly asked questions. The first is on two-stroke piston sizing. Now many two-strokes will have multiple piston sizes to choose from. If we move to the crankshaft piston schematic for this TC85, you'll see 2 pistons available, size 1 and size 2. Now if you're using a brand new cylinder, you want to use size 1. If the cylinder you have is used and has some hours on it, you want to go ahead and order size 2. Now some models, instead of just saying size 1 or size 2, will give the measurement of the piston's diameter. In this case, for a brand new cylinder, obviously you'd want to order the smaller diameter and the larger diameter for a used cylinder. Now another quick question we want to answer that we get asked often is about superseded parts. A superseded part is a part that has been replaced by a newer version. You'll see small red text underneath the part number on the parts diagram list. This part will fit your machine just fine. Husqvarna may have just made a change to that specific part, so it replaced the old part along with the part number. Now next, we want to answer some questions on standard equipment parts. If we jump back over to the carburetor schematic and find the main jet, which is number 23 on the schematic, you'll see multiple options or jet sizes for the main jet on the parts list. For this bike, there are main jet size options ranging from 115 up to 135. So depending on how you're jetting your bike, you have several options of OEM jets to choose from. This also goes for plenty of other parts like idle jet, jet needle, etc. for this bike and others. Now the last commonly asked question we want to answer is on Husqvarna base gaskets. Some of Husqvarna's base gaskets are listed with different thicknesses. This is so you can set the right deck height for your piston and cylinder. But in some cases, they won't always come out and tell you which gasket is which. If you look at the base gaskets for this TC85, they list the thicknesses in the part description. If we go back to our 2018 TX300 and look at the cylinder and cylinder head schematic, you'll find in the parts list for this bike, they have 5 different base gaskets to choose from, but don't give you the thickness for each one. To know what the thicknesses are, look at the part number for each gasket. The last 1 or 2 digits will give the gasket thickness. For example, the thicknesses for this bike are 0.20, 0.25, 0.40, 0.50, and 0.75 millimeters. Alright, so that's it. Thanks for watching our walkthrough of the Husqvarna OEM parts finder. Now if you have any questions about this video or you just can't seem to find that part that you are looking for, well, do not hesitate to give us a call or chat live online with one of our friendly CSRs. I'm Chase at Rocky Mountain. Thanks for watching.